Welcome to the Ask Dad podcast by Soul Bliss Empire with Rachel and Jim. This is the podcast where science meets spirituality, and our mission is to expand consciousness. You have arrived.
Hello and welcome back to Ask Dad. I'm Rachel and this is Jim, aka Dad. And tonight we are going to be talking about resiliency. I think it's something super important to talk about right now. With everything going on in the world, there is a lot. And if you don't have resiliency, then you're going to find yourself sort of slipping into possibly depression, despair, and that type of living situation, which is sad as a way to say it, in my opinion, I guess. And so to start off with, resiliency is really based on the amount of capacity that you have. If you don't have capacity, you're not going to be able to be resilient when times get tough. And in order to build capacity, and capacity just means your ability to handle things when everything goes to crap. And so to build that capacity and to be able to hold your ground and stay grounded in your body and not slip into depression or despair is building your capacity. And you can build your capacity by creating a routine that really builds your self-love, your self-care, that type of thing. So an example would be daily meditation or like a daily exercise routine or a daily walk in the park or nature, something like that. Doing that and doing it every day is what's going to help build your capacity. It sounds kind of strange, but it really does, because doing that sort of taking that sort of action is what helps you stay grounded in your body, because you're taking care of yourself. And I guess that's really the way I could frame it, is taking care of yourself first is what builds that capacity. Because if you are putting work first, you're putting family first, you're putting taking care of the house first, or whatever it is that you have in your life, then you are going to burn out. And burnout can be avoided by taking care of yourself first and building your capacity. And then you can take care of all of that stuff and do so with ease and joy. So I'm going to throw the ball to you, Jim, and let's take it from here.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. You want to build up reserves, right? Capacity. You think of like the squirrel hoarding all the nuts for winter, or the tree, it has all its leaves out in the summertime and then builds up all its nutrients in the roots, and all winter it's got something to work on. So there's definitely got to be a part where you've got to be bringing stuff into your soul. Really, we're kind of, talking about soul care. And, a lot of times people break it down into psychological care. But the psychology, that's the scientific aspect of it. The soul is the spiritual aspect of it. That's something that we always like to do on this channel, is to talk about things in both ways, so that we talk about the science, we talk about, we can phrase it in scientific language, or we can phrase it in soul language. I don't like to use the word religious language, because that has a bad connotation, but a spiritual aspect of our energy. And I always like to think about when you think of resiliency, you think of something that's bouncing back. And to bounce back, obviously you have to have some reserve, like you say, some reserve energy to bounce back from. I like the image of the beach ball. When you put the beach ball under the water, I don't know if you've ever done that. If you've never done that, you should try it next summer when you're out swimming. Get a beach ball, and push that beach ball down under the water and just watch it just shoot up, because it's got all that energy that has to come up. And it's a great analogy of how we want to be resilient, because we think of it in bounce back. The other time, think of it is in terms of suffering through or being able to endure through adverse circumstances that are long term. But to do that, really, for people to survive long-term adverse circumstances, really what happens is you have to have a series of bounce backs. You have to be bouncing back all through that to make it through. That's the secret for people who can get through amazing adversity. But it's not just pushing down. There's got to be times when you're coming back up, right? For that, you're getting those little bounce backs. I've heard of tennis stars who, you see them after, they're losing a point or they've made a mistake, they've made an error, and then they do that little bouncing they bounce the tennis ball, and they've got a little ritual in their mind that they're going through. And as they're bouncing that ball, they're literally bouncing back in their mind, building their confidence up for that next point, to compete at a high level, or, but it's a secret of any sports. You have to have or a goalie, after you get a goal scored on you, then you've got to have a little mental thing that you play in your mind, that you bounce back. You've got to have that confidence to be in that moment. You can't be doubting, and you can't be afraid of the next shot. It's going to go in. You've got to be thinking about this. There's no way this puck is getting past me, kind of idea. But that's something that we can learn too, to do in ours, to be that resilience, to have that bounce back, and to so if we've lost the momentum, the question is, how do we regain it? What's the pep talk that we give, after we feel flat and we feel like we've stopped and we're not making progress anymore. And I was thinking about that, and really a lot of it comes down to what is it that we really want? Having a clear vision. There's a scripture in the Bible that says, without a vision, the people perish. There's no bounce back, right? If there's no resiliency, then you die, right? That's kind of the end result of not being resilient, is you perish. Or you collapse, you fail, you break down, and that's something we don't want to get to the breakdown. It's normal to come to places of losing momentum, but we don't want to come to a place of breakdown. So knowing what you want and having that clear vision of what you want also creates an identity for you, and that's something that a lot of times we allow people, or we allow our society, we allow people around us to define us and to give us our identity. And that's something that hinders resiliency. And that's something that we want to do and so really what you want is you want to be able to have your own bliss energy that you have within you as like a self-starting pack, right? You want to have like a battery that you've got that's the capacity, right? The battery is filled up, and so that whenever you need energy to move forward again, you've got that jump start. Like the battery in the car is to start the motor, right? Once the motor's stopped, and so that's what we need, that battery and that true identity. So the question is, who are you? And there's so much in our world right now that I would say is soul deceiving. And when a soul is deceived, it's just ignorant of itself. It's a contradictory kind of idea, but it's just that idea of who are you and what's your identity. And so when we understand that, when we make that choice, that what we call a true choice, and we focus on that, and in that true choice really is what makes a true choice is a belief in the abundance of life, that whatever we desire in life is there for us to receive, and for us to that we can manifest it, or we can draw the energy to us, however you think of that, that we can bring that to us. And so there has to be that strong belief in that, a strong belief I call a conviction. And so if you've got a conviction that there is the energy, that we're in an energetic open system, then I like to think of one thing that comes to my mind is that the saying that money doesn't grow on trees. I don't know if anybody's heard that. It's a common saying. But when you think about it, if you say that to an apple farmer or an orange farmer or a grape farmer, that's really not true, right? Money does grow on trees for an apple farmer because they're tapping into abundance, right? The abundance of nature. And so when we see, and so what we're really dealing with in a lot of this sort of mental health issues and the things that we're dealing with a scarcity consciousness or a scarcity mindset. And I love it when you write scarcity, it looks like scare city, right? You want to leave scare city and go to the abundant dance, and get grooving, get dancing, get untwisted, get unloosed, get free of the scarcity that's in our mind, because everything that's in our society tends towards scarcity. And it's like we have this closed loop mentality in our consciousness. We think of, like, for example, we think of the solar system, right? The planet, there's the sun in the middle and the planet's just looping around, right? In a closed loop. But really the sun is moving, right, through the solar system. So that means everything is spiraling through the solar system. It's not a closed loop. It's an open system. And this was something that was proved by Ilya Prigogine, who showed that the energy coming in is an open system. And by doing that, he was able to advance the concepts of Isaac Newton. He was like one of the first ones in like over 300 years to add to Newton's laws, because he added he had the law of added to the law of thermodynamics, right, where he had the thermodynamic, the equilibrium, and how that, but that's based on the idea that the universe is an energetic open system. And so if we have belief in that, if we have a strong conviction in the idea that our universe is an open system and that open energy, so there's energy pouring in all the time, and then we look at nature and we see that nature has energy pouring in all the time. The sunshine, the water, the energy, all of that energy is going into the soil and bringing out those apples and those oranges. And so there is no scarcity, actually. And when you think about it, money is a representation or a measure of human life energy in connection with the open system of nature, right? Farmers farm the field and create crops, and their labor and the intelligence of the people who've made the tractors and the fertilizer and all of that makes the abundance. That's the human, it's a collective of our human life energy teaming up with the abundance of nature and creating wealth. And it's like that for all of, like, you think of all of our natural resources, our forests, our mining, our farming, our ocean, like our fisheries. All of that is just tapping in and creating wealth. And then we take the mining stuff and we create steel, and then we can make skyscrapers, and we build houses, and we build cars, and all of this is based from the abundance that is all around us. And money is just an idea and a technology that captures the human life energy in connection, yoked up with the natural abundance of our universe. And so money is limitless. There's no shortage of money. And so that was my inspiration in meditation this morning, was that to just let the money flow. And I just got this picture of this flowing, like this tidal wave, like a tsunami of money just coming out, into our world, because it's being held back, right? It's being pooled by ultra rich people who have like more money than 1 million people can spend in a lifetime. Like why have it held back like that? Like we should have a system where the money is just flowing like all the other natural resources. And so really it's an abundant. So but it's really comes down to a way of looking at the energy of the universe and coming down to a conviction, a belief. You could say, now if you put it into spiritual terms, you could say faith, right? Having a faith in the higher power or the higher energetic forces that are around us that are always feeding us, right? Even ourselves, even our own bodies are continually, in the life force is flowing through us from the higher realm, right? From the astral and the higher realms, the energy flows in. It flows in right through our medulla, right here into our body. There's yogis that can sit in meditation and just actually stop breathing, have their heart stop beating, and the life energy just comes into the medulla and they stay alive. I mean, that sounds fantastic, right? And it's certainly not an experience that I have. I mean, it would be nice to have, but it tells us something, that there is an energy that is beyond us, that is sustaining us, and that we're not in a closed, scarce system. And it's when we have that kind of faith, or really when you think about it, faith is a word. I mean, we put our faith in doctors. We put our faith in mechanics. When our car's broken down, we don't have a clue how to fix it. We bring it in, we have faith. It's a part of good business practice is good faith, performing things in good faith. And so it's not a limited term just to spirituality. And it's really an area of understanding. When you understand something and you understand what's happening, then you have faith, right? Without actually seeing it, you just know that it's there and it's going to happen. And so this is kind of taking it all the way back to the beginning, that if we can see the truth of our energetic universe, that we can see that we are in an absolute abundance all the time, and all of the scarcity that's been imposed on our minds is just simply that. It's from outside of us coming in. And so if we have the faith that we have this abundance everywhere, that's our capacity, right? Our capacity is full. We're like that beach ball. We'll just bounce back up. It's like, the beginning of the creation was the Big Bang, let's say. And whether you believe in the Big Bang or, however you picture it, when you think about it, the Big Bang is a miracle anyway. And it's kind of funny when you think about, science and being, very scientific and knowledge and not religious and all, they want to separate science and religion. And they say, well, but when you talk about the Big Bang, and then all of the physics, kind of all the mathematics comes after that, right? All the figuring out. So it's funny. They say, well, just give us one miracle and then we can figure out the rest. And that's what it is. Big Bang is a miracle. It's like, it's just an assumption. It's an act of faith, right? That everything was in one little spot and, in some kind of, there was some first motion, right? There was an explosion. But you think about it, it could never be a kinetic explosion, right? Because the kinetic explosion, like a bomb, it goes off and then it slows down. But now they look at the universe and they see the universe is speeding up, right? It's kind of like a merry-go-round. As the further you get out to the edge, the faster it goes. So it's obviously the Big Bang wasn't, a normal kind of boom. It was different. It was an abundant boom, if you think of it that way. So that's what I find motivates me. It helps to motivate me when I go back and I think about, what, just ignore all of the scarcity and mindset. We talked about the solar system. It's in our electrical systems, right? Our electrical systems go around and crash into each other, and it kills the system. I've seen electrical systems that are designed more like a spiral, and then and using magnets. It's like there's the Bedini schoolgirl thing, like it's a bicycle wheel that goes around the magnets, and every time the magnet comes past the coil wire, right? There's a electrical spike that comes out. It's like 10,000 times the regular energy, but it's very short. But if you design a circuit to take that little short burst out and put it into a capacitor outside of the circuit, then you can charge a battery and run a light, and it'll just go on forever. And so these are things, and so our electrical system bashes back into each other in a closed loop to create scarcity. Whereas really we could have free energy, we could have abundant electricity just by redesigning the circuits. And then we have the other aspect was the Hadron Collider, right? Where it's like this 27-kilometer loop in Switzerland where they're just smashing particles into each other and breaking it smaller and smaller so they can try to find what's the secret of the universe. But that's the scarcity mindset, right? It's we don't need to smash everything and make it smaller and smaller. We can just expand out into it with our minds, and we can ask the questions that we want, right? It's an intelligent universe. And so this is the all of these ideas really help me to get motivated again and to realize that we're not in a situation of scarcity. We're in a situation of abundance, and therefore we can be resilient. Anyway, that was a long ramble, but I'll give it back to you, Rachel, if you want to wrap it up.
Definitely. Yeah. So I wanted to go back to where you were talking about the sports guys that were, they do the little routine to reset. And it gave me an idea of, and I've never thought of it in these terms before, but anyways, is that you can do that in your everyday life too. So say there's a big thing happening. Actually, it happened the other day. My daughter and I were both hungry and tired. We came home and I was trying to get a show on for her, and she wasn't able to tell me what she wanted to watch. And so I was having a hard time picking it for her. And then we were both getting more and more and more frustrated. And then I was like, okay. And I just stepped away from the situation. I took a few deep breaths and was like, this moment right now is not my entire life. Like, it feels like it. And then came back, apologized to her, and then we figured it out. And so that reset is how you can bring more capacity into your life, and doing that, just something like that. And being in the now, right? So it's like when you are sober and you fall off the bandwagon, instead of starting from zero again, being like, oh, I'm however many days sober, why would you just subtract a day? Right? Like it's not like it's just one day. It doesn't have to be the whole thing. And I mean, that's like a very simplistic thing, and sobriety is much more complicated than that, but I'm using that as an example to say that don't let one moment spread across your whole life. Use that reset to put it in the past, like a goalie does, or a guy with tennis, like a goalie. Usually he smacks his net a couple of times and leaves the net, skates to the other side, and then comes back.
Right.
And whatever that does, whatever he's taught his mind to do, that resets him like it never happened. So now he's fresh again. Yeah, in that moment. And then you can go back and reassess it later. But in that moment, be in that moment. And that I don't know, that and doing that more over and over and over again, it retrains your brain to then not allow it to get bogged down with whatever is happening. Yeah. And that helps build your capacity, because then you don't let one negative thing bring you down for the whole day. It's just that moment. And then you can move on to the next moment and be better. Maybe not totally okay, but be better, and not stuck in that mindset.
Yeah, we do get stuck, don't we? In that we get a negative thing, and it just like, oh, we're like, oh man, yeah, I'm done, I'm out, I've lost, everything's awful. And it's a really negative self-talk that's a fruit of the scarcity mindset.
That's right.
Right. And so that's kind of where I was going with, like, talking about all the abundance mindset is like, hey, the energy is there. And so, yeah, however you can tap into it, right? Like how athletes do, or moms, like, I know when I raised you kids, it was like, hey, then we had, there's tough moments, and an apology is good. If it kind of helps, it teaches the kids to, like, hey, we can reset this and we can rethink about how we want to do this. And that's it's a really valuable lesson in your life, and is super important for living a life when you're wanting to increase your spiritual energy and positivity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And then I wanted to talk to you about, like, the energy, like you said, and the beautiful thing about it is that once we know it's there, we get to choose it. That's part of the issue, is that a lot of people don't know it's there. They just see what's in front of them and it looks like scarcity, right? And that's how we're taught. That's how we're raised. And once you know that abundance is in fact everywhere, then you get to choose it. And that's really how you, and that's the mindset work. And that's really how you choose your life. Again, it sounds so simple. It's much more complicated, believe me. But that's the how you get to change your life, is you get to choose the abundance mindset every time.
Exactly.
And then and there's help for that. Like, if you don't know what an abundance mindset is or looks like, there's lots of tools out there that you can look at online and whatnot to find it. And we teach a workshop that helps go into it. It's sort of a little bit more depth about what we talked here today. Not a little bit, a lot more in depth, what we talked about here today. And it helps give you the true choices so you know what you actually want in life. And that helps, like Jim was saying, helps you have something to reorient to, so that when everything goes to crap, you know who you are and you know what you want, and you just come back to that. And that's how you can keep going no matter what happens. So I will link to the workshop below if you're interested in checking that out further. But is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, I think that's it. I think that's the main thing, is just actually being aware that there's the abundance mindset and there's the scarcity mindset. And we get to, once you just having the concept of those two things, then now you can choose and get better at making that choice. That's it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Thank you very much. You can find us on Instagram at Soul Bliss Empire, and our website, soulblissempire.com. Thank you and good night, and we'll see you next time.